Can you get a good knife for $30? I didn't used to think so, but I'm starting to realize that there's a handful of them. So, yeah, we're going to talk about this. This is the Sativian Knives ST124 in D2 steel. So, you guys watch this logo real quick, and I'll be right back with you. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So, I used to be of the opinion that if you got like a $30, $40, $50 knife, you were just kind of getting a piece of garbage. But there's been a handful of knives that have come in lately, and I want to clarify this before we go any further. I do not get these knives from the company. I don't get anything from them. I'm not beholden upon them to them to give them a good review, because this did not come from the company. This came from Jared over at Neves Knives. It is on loan. He sends me a lot of stuff. I just want to throw that out there because there's a lot of people that think that us YouTube reviewers get paid to say good things about these knives. So at any rate, this is the second of the Sativian knives that he sent me. I had the Wharncliffe one, and now we have this one. And I got to say, there's a lot of good things going for this knife. Now, I definitely don't like this one as much as the other one, but I can point out to you guys the things that are plus minus, and I got a little bit of KPL blade shield still on it because I wanted to wipe it down real good because it had a bunch of fingerprints on it. So, yeah, this is a really good knife. At the price point, you're looking at a $30 knife that has got really a lot of bells and whistles. So first things first, we're going to do some size comparison. So the first knife we're going to look at is the CJRB Rhea, only because it's just what happened to be in my pocket. So as you can see, CJRB Rhea is a relatively small knife. This is a good bit bigger, not a huge knife. So our second knife is going to be the Benchmade 940, which I brought out because it is also a sliding bar lock, as Benchmade calls it. Axis lock, sliding bar lock, they're the same thing. So you can see relatively similar in size and dimensions. This is a good bit broader, but yeah, a little bit shorter. So there you go. There's your Benchmade 940. And your final one's going to be the Chris Reeves Sebenza, because as you can see, Sebenza and it they're really relatively similar in size, and I like to use a Sebenza, large Sebenza. This is the 21, because most people know just about the size and dimensions of a Sebenza because it is one of the most well-known knives. So yeah, you can see it's not a small knife. It's a relatively easy carry knife. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way and look at this by itself. So you're looking at a drop point D2 access lock, sliding bar lock, thumb stud flipper. Now, I like the other Sativian better than this. This one has a little bit of an issue with pocket clip and a couple other little things. So we're going to talk about that. Now, the good points about this knife. This is, like I said, a $30 knife, and you are getting a very, very good version of a access lock, sliding bar lock on this. It does have a little tight spot on it, but all in all, the action on it is really good for a access lock. And one of the other things is there is no blade play in this. And the reason I kept this one out is my Benchmade 940 has got blade play. It has had blade play since I got it. Every time I try to get rid of the blade play, I lose any action. It tightens up to a point where I can't get it to have the action I want. So that is a plus on this one, because I've never had a Benchmade access lock that was really free that did not have a little bit of play. I've done everything I can with that. This does not have that. So it actually has a better, mechanics in it than that Benchmade. There are a couple little things, we'll get to it later. Another thing, the blade grind on this is really good. The other Sativian that I had came in, and it has this the same plunge on this where this line comes up at an angle. Really good distal taper, and this comes down relatively thin. It's a little thicker at the tip, but you have a really robust tip. But it does come down nice and thin here, and then it kind of does thicken up towards the tip. But good shaped blade, really good for a lot of work. It has an attractive look because it has the swedge and everything on it on this back. It is a good bit thicker blade stock than the Wharncliffe one I did. I think that was the I can't remember which one was that Sativian that I did. G10 handles. The liners have all been lightened, And the good thing about these knives are they are truly ambidextrous because of the axis lock. Unfortunately, pocket clip is not reversible. I think that's a selling point they overlooked because Benchmade allows you an option to flip your clip. And in this case, this is one of the times that I would say Benchmade's pocket clip would probably be a little bit better on this as well. So they kind of missed the boat on doing that. They had a perfect chance. They could have just duplicated that little cutout there and allowed you to flip your pocket clip. So give me just a second. We'll be right back to this. I have got to go grab something real quick. Well, I apologize. The item I was going to look for, I do not have. I wanted to give you a comparison on kind of blade shape and blade stock thickness. And I was looking and I thought that I had still got the other version, the other Citizen, but I sent that off to Jared when I sent him back a bunch of his stuff. In hand, nice and comfortable. So we'll get into the ergos. Nice and comfortable on the ergos. I think that they could have done a little bit better job, but it is pretty comfortable. I think they could have done a better job. Pocket clip actually is a little bit of a hot spot on this one, was not on the Wharncliffe version. If you want a lanyard, you've got a spot for a lanyard, but it is not one that's going to get cut because the lanyard hole is enclosed in this. I would rather that they had just kind of milled out a spot with a little post so that it didn't do this, but at $30, you know, I imagine this is the cheapest option. It is thumb stud only. It is not a back flipper. You can see that there is that little bit of a catch right there. It's a little stiff. It is a thumb stud flipper, which is pretty good, but there are a couple small things with that. And it does have jimping on the back here that is pretty good. It's pretty aggressive. It's not super aggressive, but it also will catch, and it just lets you know that it's there and you're not going to slide forward on it. The G10 has been milled up against, and you've got some little areas here that give you a tactile feel. It's pretty comfortable in hand. I think that I think it feels a little thicker than it should because his pocket clip is a little taller. I think that this should definitely have been one of the ones that tapered a little bit or was a little flatter because it makes the knife feel a little thick at the back. Backspacer has been milled up nice and clean up against the liners. The liners are fairly polished, so you get that pop. And even in the inside, they're fairly polished. And like I said, good bit of lightening. This is not a real heavy knife. So yeah, there's all the good things. Like I said, good action, feels good in hand, decent blade shape, D2 steel, so you're getting a decent steel. You're not just getting some unknown garbage steel. D2 is a pretty good option for a lot of people. And you can see this is a satin, like three direction satin on this. It is attractive. I like the blade shape a little bit more if it was a little thinner here, like maybe not such a strong upsweep at the very tip. But all in all, fairly decent. Like I said, functional pocket clip, nice good tension on that. Centering on this for a $30 knife is really good. I was expecting a little bit of a favoring one side or the other, but it is not. And even if it was, since it's double hardware, you could kind of walk it back and forth, tighten one side versus the other. The swedge is relatively consistent where it terminates. It does go a little further on this side than that side, so you do have a little bit of unusualness. You probably saw that at first where it, like you look down it, yes, it is centered, but when you get up here, there's a little bit of a gap here that you don't have on the other side. And that's because that swedge is a little bit off from one side to the other. But once again, $30 knife. So now let's get into the stuff about it that I don't like, and I'm going to go get my 940 back out for comparison. So like I said, this is the $30 knife, and I'm not going to try and say it's the end all be all. I will say that there are some things that this knife has going for it, but there's some downsides. So on this knife, you can see there's a really free good action. This does have larger thumb studs than usual, but you definitely have really good access to the thumb stud. This as well, thumb studs on it are really good. Now where I have a little bit of an issue, the access lock, the way this sits is ever so slightly different. I don't know why this feels different, but you can kind of see the difference between this and this. I think that this doesn't, it's because this doesn't come up as tall and it is a little bit broader across the top than this one. This one does not feel as good when you remove, when you unlock it. It doesn't feel as good. It just kind of feels, I don't know, too skinny. They're almost the same size, but it just feels too skinny. And the other thing is, the spring tension on this is much, much stronger than is on my Benchmade axis lock here. Much, much heavier spring on this, which kind of leads to, like I showed you a couple times, there's a spot there that, like, it's a little stiff. Now, opening it, it doesn't matter. That's not a problem. But the thumb studs are really good, but this, just enough different. I imagine I would get used to it, but just enough different that it just doesn't feel as secure when you get on it. It just doesn't feel like you have as much, I don't know, like as much contact, as much purchase. And then the spring's a lot stronger and it just feels like you might slip off of your lock. But the fact is, the lock, you're unlocking it. It's not something you're manipulating to open the knife. The other thing is, it is a lot more difficult to do the flip on it because the spring is a little bit tighter. It's really easy to miss that. In hand comfort, I alluded to, there's a couple things. This, I think, could have been a little bit larger. It feels a little small in my hand, and that area right there kind of cuts into my finger, like into my finger. That's not horrible because it's not going to bother everyone, but it definitely is something I noticed. And then pocket clip. The pocket clip is really proud. And you can see that little red spot that's forming from messing with this. That's what I noticed when I was cutting with it. It's pretty good overall. It does cut well, but it's not like a serious high performance cutter. It cuts okay. So it's an all around good knife. It's just that there's some, I mean, it's $30. There's some things that I got to bring to your attention so that, like, I don't want you to think that I'm like, oh, it's the best knife ever. It's only $30. No, that's not the case. It has some issues, but the fact is, if you're looking for a decent performing work knife at an affordable price point, you've got this as an option. And the other one that I had, the Sativian with the Wharncliffe blade that I sent back to Jared, absolutely one of the best budget knives at the $30 price point I've ever seen. So this is up there with that, but it's not as good. I would prefer, like, I can't recommend this as much as I recommend the other one. But if you guys are interested in this one, I will put an Amazon affiliate link for this knife down below so you can purchase it and support the channel. But yeah, overall, I'm really surprised at the quality on some of these $30 knives. Like Jim Skelton and I were talking about, am I trying to compare it to $1,000 knife or a $200 knife or something like that? No, I'm not. But I'm just saying that it's really surprising the quality that you are getting on some of the sub $100 knives these days. From $30 to $70. There's some really good options that I honestly can say hit above their weight class. And this Sativian brand so far has been one of them. I haven't seen a lot of them. I've only seen 2 or 3. So yeah, there we go, guys. Let's turn this around. I'll do some final thoughts and I'll send you back about your way. I just got my new green stand. Yeah, guys, like I said, at $30, you're going to have a hard time finding a knife that beats this one or its counterpart that I reviewed before. The Sativian knives have kind of impressed me. I'm not trying to say that they're like end all be all or compare them to higher end, high quality, high dollar knives that are like $300. There's a definite difference. There's a drastic difference. But for the money, you're getting you're getting a really decent knife, way more than I could ever have imagined getting for $30 when I was growing up. So, guys, that's it. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. But please try to tell me why. I can't change that content if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon. If you do hit the bell icon, make sure you've got notifications turned on your device. And pick how your bell icon is set up, because sometimes it'll set it for all. And I put up a lot of content that YouTube might not tell you about. Other ways that you can support the channel if you want to do it financially, since I have to do things like replace green screen background stands that I screwed up because I opened the garage door with it standing up and bent one of the support poles, you can absolutely use my affiliate links that are down below. I have a ton of affiliate links down there, ranging from gear to knives to tools to stones, all kinds of stuff. There's a VPN, coffee company, Blade HQ. So any of the knives that you see here, you can probably find a link to it. I definitely will put a link directly to this knife on Amazon here. Anything you use those affiliate links for, it does not cost you anything extra at checkout. It simply supports the channel. They give me a little portion of it. Other ways you can do it, I have got a membership down below where we have got a gilded server that's open to everyone.
Premium and baseline tier members are automatically entered into a giveaway that I do on the Gilded server, and the premium tier members have access to a sharpening tutorial series that I've built for them here on YouTube. And the final way is I have a merchandise store. It's not, this is old school merchandise that you won't ever see again, but I do have a merchandise store on Ember Shirt Co. where you can pick up my merchandise and some other content creators like my buddy David, Hiking with a Viking, and some others. You can pick up their merchandise as well on Ember Shirt Co. and I can save you 10% at checkout with the coupon code CrazySharp, capital C, capital S. CrazySharp saves you 10% at checkout. Guys, I love you all. Keep it clean in the comments. It makes it easier to moderate the channel. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I will see you in the next video, which I'm probably going to try and film here in just a little bit.